Songs of life, they ring from quiet steeples to distant valleys along the hillsides of lovers' hearts, Come sing your songs of life, and they will keep you from ever wanting, from ever needing, forevermore.
Hello and welcome back to the Liesl Summit Town Hall podcast, brought to the good people by Budget Blinds of Liesl Summit. I'm your host. I'm back. I'm Nick Parker. I'm back from I'm going to call it a winter hiatus. Like the cold got to me. I'm going to admit it. I kind of had trouble keeping going. It's cold. It stinks. I don't like it. I love my town. I love my people here. But sometimes I wish we were in the desert. I like warm weather better. But we're back. We're back after that little hiatus. Before we get to our main part of this episode, I'm going to run through a couple of quick things. Liesl Hayes, she's off this week. She'll be back next week for a strong episode. I'm excited about it. But with me today, my son, Liesl Summit Jr., Charlie Parker.
Hey, how you all doing?
Charlie, you've been on the I Can Relate podcast for a couple years. This is your second time on Town Hall.
Yeah, second time.
Are you excited?
Kind of. This was all very haphazard, wasn't it?
Yeah, I just threw you in. That's fine. It's fine. Hey, coming up this weekend, Charlie, it's the spring open house in downtown. So come on out. Come out Saturday. Look, this cold spell, it's going to last one day. Today only. We're back, 60s, 70s. So come out, enjoy the weather. Come out by yourself. Come with your friends. Come with your family. Shop at all the stores. There's some great deals going on. Go out for a bite to eat, maybe a drink or two out at the restaurants and establishments that we've got here. There's no better place, I think. Just go out, have a good time, enjoy the spring weather and the spring open house in downtown Liesl Summit. Also, this weekend, I love this event only because of the name. Well, what the name implies. It's a rock, paper, scissors tournament, Charlie. Rock, nice. Paper, scissors, 2 o'clock, Sunday. If you were old like me, you'd get that joke. 2 o'clock Sunday, Macadoodles. Head on out there for a rock, paper, scissors tournament. And, hey, look, if your cabinet is bare and you need to add a few bottles of some goodness, Macadoodles. Go shop there. Get some stuff. But really, it's a rock, paper, scissors tournament. That's why I'm coming out. I'm going to tell you, Charlie, your mom and I are going to celebrate 25 years of marriage this year. We still make decisions based on rock, paper, scissors. Just this week, I don't know if you were sitting.
I do not know what you're on about.
Well, this week, we even decided who was going to do the after dinner dishes based on rock, paper, scissors. Your mom lost, by the way.
Nice.
She had to go do dishes.
Nice.
I like winning. Competition is what makes a marriage strong, Charlie. At least that's what works for us. Hey, before we get to the main part of our episode, one last note. Also in downtown, March 16th, it's the Shamrock the Block event. It's on Southwest Main Street in front of Reese and Nichols. Lots of businesses are going to be there handing out candy. There's some interactive art opportunities, fun stuff to do, live music. Great family event. Saturday, March 16th, Southwest Main Street, right in front of the Reese and Nichols building. Come out. It's a good time. Good way to bring your family out, have some fun downtown here in Liesl Summit. Also back is the gold coin hunt. The kids, if you've got the young kids, bring them out. This is the fun. This is a great event. Come do that. Julie Cook, Jenny Gale from Downtown Main Street will be back with us next week on this episode to give us all the details, everything you need to know about Shamrock the Block, and do a much better than me explain why you need to bring your family out there. Now to the main part of our episode. You might have got the teaser a little bit when you heard the lyrics of Neil Diamond sung in the dulcet tones of the one and only, the Black Neil Diamond, the nation's only Black Neil Diamond tribute artist. And he lives right here in Liesl Summit. A lot of people didn't know it. You might have heard it last year when he first came on the show and we interviewed him. Not only is he just an awesome dude who happens to sound just like Neil Diamond, he's got some great stories. This guy has performed everywhere, all the big places. He's been on the Jimmy Kimmel Show. He's hung out with the Pointer Sisters. He knows them all. He's met, if there is music royalty from like the 70s, 80s, or 90s, he's hung out with them, and he's got pictures of them. I've seen his camera reel on his phone. Yeah, he's met them all. He's partied with them all. He's sung with them all. He's just got a lot of great stories. He's a great guy, and I love Neil Diamond. Everybody loves Neil Diamond. Even people who tell me, Charlie, what do I tell you if somebody tells me they don't like Neil Diamond?
You'll sing along with it anyway.
Exactly. You play Neil Diamond, people smile, and they sing along every time. So here he is, folks, Lee Summit's very own, the Black Neil Diamond. Hello and welcome back to the Lee Summit Town Hall podcast. I am your host, Nick Parker, and with me, as she is always, my co-host, Liesl Hayes.
Hello, everyone. It is good to be back, and our guest today is legit.
So excited. Like, I've been wanting to do this one for months now, and this, I don't even know where to start. I'm just stuttering around, stumbling. I'm really excited about this because we're gonna like be adjacent to one of my favorite entertainment subjects of all time. Today, our guest, I'm not going to mess around anymore. The Black Diamond, Theron.
Yes.
Yay.
Welcome to the show, Theron.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I've been wanting this for a long time.
Me too.
You are the Black Diamond, one of the best, if not the best. Can we say the best?
I think we can totally say the best.
Neil Diamond tribute artists in the world.
Sitting right next to
I know.
us.
In the vault.
I'll
Look,
take it.
I am a dorky nerd fan about Neil Diamond.
Yeah.
I grew up with that music. I still will play it randomly. My autistic sister who lives with us, almost every morning as she waits for her bus, we play Neil Diamond music videos on the YouTube.
I love it.
Today, she walks downstairs. We got her ready. She's coming downstairs. She's rocking the Sweet Caroline.
The Sweet Caroline.
And she's a true fan. She doesn't do that Red Sox stuff.
Yeah.
She sings it the way Neil
It
intended.
was written, yes.
Yes.
the way he wrote it, the show.
I'm not even sure where I want to start with this because, A, I don't think most people know that you are amongst us, that you're one of the local residents here. But really, your story is fascinating to me, and it's not one long epic story. It's like it's like these dots all over the map, like one of those conspiracy theories with the string everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, it is really incredible. And so let's just start way in the very beginning. I've heard some of this from you before, but how the heck did you start singing Neil Diamond?
So the show, I will also say the show is now, as of last September, 22 years old. I've been doing this for 22 years as my sole means of
and look,
making a
That's
living.
amazing.
And let's be fair here. These aren't all shows at the Pink Elephant, which I'm not trying to knock our friends over there at all.
Absolutely not.
You
'Cause,
played some places.
Downtown Lee Summit is pretty cool, but yes, you have been.
Yeah.
You've played some places.
Yeah.
I've been some places, yes. I've played in some huge venues, and one of my favorites was the what they called the Motor City Casino in Detroit.
Oh yes,
Michigan.
Detroit, Michigan.
And I was there, and there was a beautiful room, state-of-the-art equipment, and I didn't want to leave the stage. I mean, they literally had to make me leave the room. If the show is over, Black Diamond, it's time to go.
Did they have one of those big canes like pulling you off the stage?
Yeah, because I was making a bed on the stage floor. I'm staying here. I don't want to leave. And but then yes, I've played all kinds of places and venues and.
What is one of the most memorable venues you've ever played?
So there's in Decatur, Illinois. They have what's called the Decatur Celebration, which is billed as the largest free family outdoor street festival in the country.
Who knew?
In Decatur, Illinois. Yes.
I bet you we know somebody who knows about that one.
Maybe.
We know some Main Street folks.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
You're probably
know
right.
about
You're
that.
probably right.
Yes. And that turned out to be unexpectedly for me, just huge. And so much so that they brought me every year. They brought me back for 5 years, which was against breaking their own rule to never bring an entertainer back in consecutive years. But the fan base was such that they said we got to bring this guy back. And so definitely hands down one of my favorite shows was playing at the Decatur Celebration in Illinois.
And they broke that rule 4 times for him. Did
Right.
you hear that? 4 times
Yeah.
they broke that rule.
And we haven't had him once at one of our festivals.
I know.
So
yeah.
I do want to go back to how did you start? You're an as you told me before, you're an Army brat. You grew up moving all over the place.
Yep. I was and my dad retired at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, and we had come there from Germany. So I went to kindergarten and first grade in Germany, and then we came to Fort Leonard Wood, and my dad would eventually retire from there after about 5 years, and but off of the base there was a church, the Waynesville Church of Christ, and they ran a bus onto the Army base, and they would pick you up and take you to church, and it was a predominantly Caucasian white church, and I was 10, and we'd be singing "How Great Thou Art" or "Amazing Grace," and the white ladies in church would turn around and look at me with these wide eyes, and they'd say, "Oh my goodness, young man," because that is how Caucasian ladies talk.
That is how we talk. Oh my goodness, young man.
Oh my goodness, young man, do you realize you sound like Neil Diamond? They tapped their husband. Honey, doesn't he sound like Neil Diamond? I was like, who is Neil Diamond? Like, I thought he went to my church in Waynesville. I just said he's one of the white guys I hadn't met yet or something. I didn't know. And that's really how I first heard the name. And by the time I got to 15 and puberty set in, and my voice dropped even more, and I would hear it all the time. You sound like Neil Diamond, even if I was just talking or singing happy birthday to my friend at their birthday party. And then I realized he doesn't go to my church in Waynesville, and I needed to go out and buy a record. And I went out and bought the Jazz Singer soundtrack and brought it home
Top
and listened
5
to
movies
it.
of all time.
Yes, a great movie, great record. I did listen to it. I did not think I sounded like him. I was like, Caucasian people are crazy.
We are kind of crazy.
Thinking, man, I don't sound like this guy.
There is some evidence to support
Yes,
this.
There
support
is
that.
a lot of evidence.
I say it in jest, but so I was 15. At that time he was probably 45, and I just thought, I don't sound like that. But I did fall in love with him and the music. I did fall in love with it. I didn't think I sounded anything like him, but I did know I loved his songs, and that was my
This
beginning.
brings me to a good question.
Sure.
Can you trust anyone who says they don't love his music?
No.
Like, that doesn't say, I don't sing along.
Is this
No.
like the litmus test for
Yeah.
if you're a good person or not?
Yes.
Well, if you're a
It
person.
really is. Yeah, if you're a person at all.
Like, yeah.
Do you like Neil Diamond? No, we're
Yeah,
finished.
It's over.
Yeah,
Do you
it's
have,
over.
Does that person have a soul? Well, here,
Mhm.
let me ask this question. When Neil comes on, do you sing along?
Absolutely. And I think
Everybody
Liesl-
sings along.
Yeah. Liesl?
Oh, everyone does.
Yes.
That is a real thing.
Yes. It is actually a thing.
So, okay. So you're singing at church. They're all telling you, hey, you sound like this guy.
Mhm.
And then you hear the album, which,
Mhm.
by the way, Jazz Singer, if you're going to start,
Mhm.
what a
Really,
way to start.
Yeah, it's the place to start in his catalog. I recommend. People have asked me many times, which record should I get? Because he has so many. I say the Jazz Singer. Start with the Jazz Singer and then work your way out
Well,
from there.
A, you're starting with a musical, and look, there's never a wrong time for a show tune.
Correct.
Then it's B, it's maybe some of his greatest collective work. Gotta be top 2 or 3 albums. of
Yes,
his.
it is. It's his like Hot August Night, Jonathan Livingston Seagull, and the Jazz Singer in that order are his top 3 selling albums.
Wow.
Mhm.
So, okay, so when did you start, though? When did you say, I'm going to start singing his song? Do you remember that?
Yeah, so kind of. I think I just started. So I did sing one of his songs. I was at that time a junior in high school, I believe, or senior in high school. They had a talent show, and I did a tune from the Jazz Singer called "Songs of Life" because that was what really
Yes.
got me when I heard that's just so beautiful, right? It's just so beautiful, and still today, it's my favorite of all of his songs. It's my favorite, "Songs of Life." And I saw the people at my school, and by then I'm in Columbia, Missouri at Rockbridge High School, and I saw the audience, and they were just had this stunned look on their face, and like they're hearing Neil Diamond. And that's when I kind of really got it. I really got up to that point. And by then I'm 18 probably. I had never, even from 10 to 18, never really, I heard people say you sound like Neil Diamond. I heard Neil Diamond's record, but I didn't really get it until I saw.
What's that like when you look out and you see, like, I've captured people. Like, they are digging what I'm doing.
Yeah. Startled me. It really startled me because at first you think you're doing something wrong or, should I not be doing this? And it took me even years beyond that to get over that stunned look, because I see it quite frequently when I perform places where they maybe aren't familiar with the Black Diamond, and I see that look, and it used to really throw me off, but now I realize they're just in shock, and it energizes me to give them more.
So what were the next steps after that? So that was your moment.
Yes.
Tell us more.
And then I would just kind of sing around with my friend. I did it more or less as kind of what I considered like remember David Letterman used to have stupid human tricks?
Yes.
And I just saw it as a stupid human trick. So we'd be in bars and, I had a friend who would set it up. It was a girl, she would go to people in the bar and she'd walk up to you and she'd say, hey, you see that guy over there? Yeah, he sounds just like Neil Diamond. They're like, no, he doesn't. She goes, tell you what, he comes over here and he sounds like Neil Diamond. You'll buy us a drink. If he comes over here and he sounds like Neil Diamond, we'll buy your drinks all night. That's when Brittany would say, "Oh, Theron."
Theron, you sound like an asset to have at the bar. I mean, come on now.
I want more nights out.
You're
with
our
Theron.
new drinking buddy.
Yes, and that's what we would do, and that's how we, drank, and then I worked then I ended up going to West Virginia. So I'm from all over because, as you know, I grew up in the Army, but my parents are native West Virginians. And so after my dad retired, that's where they ended up back. And so returning to. And so I went to West Virginia and I decided it's time to get, a regular job, stop playing around. And I went to work at a hotel, the Marriott Hotel. And I worked at the front desk. I figured I'll try and make a career out of this and maybe move up into management one day. Who knows? And I would sing, though, at the front desk to everybody that I checked in. Before you got your hotel room keys.
Was there a particular song or was it just whatever the mood?
It was hello again, hello. Because I just thought that's the perfect song.
Amazing.
Right?
By the way, also from the jazz singer.
From the jazz singer, yes. A lot of gems on that record. And I thought it's the perfect song, because these weary travelers are coming in. They probably are on their way to Myrtle Beach from Michigan, and they're tired, and the kids have been saying, are we there yet? Are we there yet? The wife and the husband are nagging each other, and they come in to just get some rest before they continue on tomorrow morning. And the husband just throws his credit card down. He's already thinking this is going to be an overpriced room, one more expense I have. And he throws his credit card down on the counter and goes, just give us the rooms, please. And so I get them all ready. And before they, would go off, give them their keys, I would say, and tell me who this sounds like. And then I'd launch into, hello, my friend, hello. And you would see the looks on their faces. They start to smile, like looking at each other like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. Now they're smiling. So they went off to their room smiling and happy. And I felt like my mission was accomplished until Human Resources called me in one day and told me that I had to stop singing to the guests.
No.
Yes, true story.
You know what?
Human Resources.
HR people are the
They
worst.
are the worst.
Thumbs down.
I mean, that's ridiculous. You were creating a great customer experience there.
And I told them, I said, no problem. I said, I knew eventually some guests would take umbrage and this would happen. And they said, oh, no. The guests love it. It's your coworkers.
Oh my God. They're
jealous.
Yeah, they don't like it. They don't like it. And I was like, my coworkers, wait a minute. What? Who cares about that? I mean, if Joe Smo's checking in and he's paying $289 and he likes it, then what do we care about them? Well, you got to stop. We don't want a mutiny on our hands. And I said
Mutiny at the Marriott.
Mutiny at the Marriott.
At the West Virginia.
You better watch out.
Watch out.
Those Neil Diamond tunes.
Yes. Oh, man. So I told them I'll give you my 2 weeks notice. And they said, yeah, that's what we thought you'd say. Here's your check. You don't have to come back tomorrow. And I walked out of the hotel, and then that's when it hit me. I have no job. Like, I don't have a job. I don't have.
Okay, I cannot imagine that level of courage that you just displayed. Like, look, if I can't sing,
Yeah.
I'm out.
Here's my 2 weeks
if
notice.
they can't sing, then they ain't no friends of mine.
Yeah,
Yep.
singing is like singing.
I see what you did
that.
there.
I do too. Well, singing is like breathing to me, and I knew it just would. I would not be able to stop myself. I just wouldn't, and it was fun. And so I realized I don't have a job, no medical or dental benefits anymore, no free rooms wherever I might travel and stay around the country that there's a Marriott, and it shocked me, but at that moment it is what it is. So I looked up at the heavens and I said, well, God, it looks like it's you, me, and Neil Diamond now, and I pray this works.
So when was this?
That was on September 7th of 2000.
Wow, you even remember the exact date. That's
The
impressive.
show was born on September 7th, 2000.
So what was the first gig you played?
And so I went. I remember that was back in the day. We still had Yellow Pages. Remember the Yellow Pages?
Yellow
The phone?
Pages, yes.
And so I went and got the Yellow Pages, and I spent that night just circling all the businesses from A to Z that looked like they might need entertainment. And then the next day, I just started calling them. You guys have anything that you need entertainment at Christmas?
Again, levels of courage there.
I know.
I mean, you walked out of a job
He's
and
cold calling like the
and
next
you're
day.
cold calling
Yes.
to sell yourself
Yes.
as the Black Neil. I mean, I know you probably hadn't come up with a name
Nope.
yet, but you're like, hey, let me come sing. I sound like Neil Diamond.
Yes. So what happened was
I mean, that's some.
yeah, some cojones.
You're showing some big record albums.
Yes.
there.
I like that. And the thing is, I didn't realize that was what was happening. In retrospect, I guess, and hearing you say it, I guess that I do. But I didn't know it at the time. I just knew it was necessary to eat. And so I would just call people and pay my rent. And so I called them, and they would say to me, well, yeah, we have a Christmas party. And what do you do? And I said, well, I sing Neil Diamond. And I again learned the power of his name. And I'd learned that I would drop it every single time because they go, oh, Neil Diamond. Oh, we love Neil Diamond. Yeah,
They have souls.
Yes, they all had souls. And they said, well, do you have a portfolio? And I'd say, oh yeah. I didn't have a portfolio. it was a little flyer with a picture of me on. Says he sings Neil Diamond.
Some cassette tapes that mom recorded with.
Correct. Yes.
That's
And
amazing.
they said, can you send us? Can we get your portfolio? And I'd send it to them in the mail. And then, of course, they opened it and probably laughed and threw it right into file 13 immediately. And so when I didn't hear from them, I would then just walk into the business and start singing. I just walk into that business, the bank or the lawyer's office or the dentist, whatever it was.
I'm just floored.
I am too.
It's true.
But seeing is believing.
It's really-
Sometimes you just need a sample.
Yes.
They needed a sample of the Black Diamond.
Yes. And they would book it.
Yeah.
That would close the deal.
Like
when I
on the
walked-
spot. I mean,
Right on
do you
the spot.
think your close rate there was what percentage when you just walked in and sang?
Oh, I'd say 100%.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty
Wow.
much everybody booked it once I walked in and sang. They would go, oh my gosh, yeah. Hey, don't we have what day is our Christmas party? Hey, what day is our employee appreciation day? Yeah, sign him up.
Now, do you already have have you already kind of built in your head the repertoire? I mean, do you have Neil songs, like a set list in your head?
At that time, yes, I did. Mm-hmm. I knew because I had done, because when I was in the hotel or doing superhuman tricks at the bar, it would be a different song. Sweet Caroline, Forever in Blue Jeans, Hello Again, I Am I Said, Play Me. So I had a good 10 songs ready to go if they were to book me at that moment. I had 10 songs I could give them right there. And I had a little cassette tape a guy gave me. He told me, he said, I got this cassette tape with these I was at a Hooters restaurant.
Nice.
A guy came up to me and while I was eating my chicken wings, he says, and crab legs, and he said, I got this cassette and it has Neil Diamond. It's just the music. Do you want it? And I was like, oh yeah.
Stop it.
And that was my
the
show.
stars have aligned.
I
in your life.
know.
Mhm. And that was the
it's
show. I would
incredible.
take that boombox into the lawyer's office or the
Yes.
judge's office, plug in that tape, had a little sound guy to push play, and we went to town, man. And that's how it started.
Oh, that's fantastic. That is fantastic.
And then word of mouth started, getting around the diamond. And then the name came because So for a couple of years, I don't think I was called anything. I think they just called me the Neil Diamond guy or Theron, my actual name. But there was a news crew, and they had me sing in this another hotel, the Embassy Suites lobby, and so they both got good commercials out of this, didn't they? and they
We can send them a check, right?
Yes.
Or an invoice for a check.
Yes, we're
right?
going to send them an invoice. And they news reporter went up to different people that were staying at the hotel who were just kind of standing around listening, and she asked somebody, "What do you think of him?" And he goes, "Well, I think it's great." And I'm over here talking to somebody else, but peripherally, I hear this conversation between the reporter and the guest. And he says, "Well, he sounds good, and he's black, and he sounds like just call him the black. He should call him the Black Diamond." And the light bulb went off, and I went, "That's the name.
That's awesome.
That's the name of the show."
So some random person came up with the name.
Yes,
that
and
you
I
have now kept
overheard it.
For you said
22 years.
Coming up on 22 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well,
Okay.
maybe 19 because I didn't have a name for a couple of years.
All right. Now we're gonna shock Liesl a little bit more because I know the start of this, but you really caught a break in West Virginia.
Correct.
Because somebody saw a show.
Correct. You want me to take it from there?
I do want you to take it because Liesl hasn't heard this part.
I have not heard it.
Oh wow! Well, brace yourself. Buckle up. I was singing at a pizza. So after word got out that there's this guy who sings Neil Diamond in town, and people started booking it, this pizza place called me, and they asked me, said, "Would you like to come down here and you can sing every Thursday night? It's a 4-hour show."
I'm going to jump in. Does any food go better with Neil Diamond than pizza? Can you think of a better pairing?
No, I
No.
can't. I think
Yeah.
that that's
I
exactly
feel
what
like
it should
Italian,
be.
spaghetti, pizza.
I feel
All
like
the
pizza and
things.
Neil are like
Yes.
the thing.
Très magnifique.
Yes.
Yes. And so they said, "Well, can you come down and do it, and we'll pay you this much, and you sing." And I remember asking them, will you put my name and picture in the newspaper?" And they said, "Oh yes." And I said, "Every week?" And they said, "Yes." And I said, "Deal." Because I
Done.
really wanted
Look at you thinking the power of
I wanted
pub.
the
That was
publicity,
your earned
right.
media
And for-
right
and-
there.
And for those of you, the power of local newspapers.
Yeah, absolutely. Never underestimate them because that's what they did, and
Right.
it took me to. And so a guy came in, the story you wanted me to tell, and one night he came in from California, Los Angeles, and he was there on business, and he just came in to eat some pizza. He didn't know anything about me. He didn't know anything about the show. He didn't know there was a show. He just knew he was hungry, and it was right next door to his hotel room. So he comes in, and of course, there I am in sequins and fringe, rocking
As you should be.
as you should be if you're doing Neil Diamond, and I'm rocking Sweet Caroline. And so he goes back to Los Angeles, and he tells. And I found all this out later, but he goes back to Los Angeles and he's talking to a random guy. Apparently, he didn't even know who he was talking to. And he says, "You won't believe what I just saw in West Virginia, where I was last week on business, of all places." And they said, "Well, what'd you see?" He said, "There was a bald black guy at a pizza place singing Neil Diamond, and he sounded just like Neil Diamond." Well, the guy he was randomly talking to was the producer for Jimmy Kimmel.
Oh, stop.
So he goes back into Jimmy Kimmel. He says, "Hey, they say there's a black dude in West Virginia. Sounds like Neil Diamond." And Jimmy Kimmel says, "Are you freaking kidding me? Somebody find this guy." And so they Google me and I guess found my website and sent me an email through the website and asked me to call them. We want to talk to you here at Jimmy Kimmel. We're the producers of Jimmy Kimmel. We want to call you. Want to talk to you. Call us. And for 3 days I didn't call them because I thought it was I thought I was on Punk'd.
Oh, yes.
This can't be
You
real.
thought
This
like
is-
Ashton Kutcher was going to like jump
Correct.
out any moment.
Yeah,
Okay, I got
really
you.
thought one of my friends had made up this email and sent it to me, and then get me all excited. And then when I called the number, they're like, "You've been punked, Diamond. You've been
Totally
punked."
got you.
Yes. And so I didn't call him. And my friend came over. And this was back in the days of desktop computers, So I showed him the email. I said, who do we know that could do this and punk me? And he looks at the email and he goes, "Dude, you're an idiot. That's that's them. That's Jimmy Kimmel. And I go, how can you tell? He goes, the address.
Oh my
That
gosh.
can't be fake. Kimmel Live at abc.com. That's it. Them. I go, oh, I should call him. He goes, yeah.
Yeah, you should.
So I called him and I explained the delay and they said, well, you understand and it happens a lot. And they said, we want you to, we went on your website, listened to you sing, and we really, none of us can tell if that's you or actually Neil Diamond.
Wow.
And so, yeah, at first I was insulted, but then later on I realized, oh, wow, that's a compliment. And they said, so we want you to, this was in the days of FedEx delivery, overnight delivery. We want you to videotape yourself, and here's our FedEx account number, overnight it to us, and we want to see you singing a cappella, something that's not Neil Diamond, and send it to us. And so my friend, I said, hey, can you come over and videotape me? And he did, and we sent it out.
What'd you sing?
I sang "You Are My Sunshine."
Nice.
Yes.
And I sent that to him. And 2 days later, they called and said, we got the tape. Love it. Jimmy absolutely wants you on the show.
Wow.
And a month later, I was off to Hollywood to appear on and perform on Jimmy Kimmel
First
Live.
question: does the video still exist of you doing that? You Are My Sunshine.
Yes, it does.
Second question, what hotel did you stay at in California?
It wasn't the Marriott.
Was it Embassy Suites?
Yeah, it wasn't that. So he puts you up. You know, he takes good care of his
I'm
guests.
sure.
And he puts you in this nice hotel and feeds you and sends a car for you and the whole 9 yards. And then he took, after the show and my performance, he took me bowling. So we were standing back.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we were backstage. And he's like, Black Diamond, you want to go bowling? And I was like, yeah. Where am I anyway? You know, and we went. He was dating Sarah Silverman. And me, him, and Sarah Silverman and some of his staff went bowling at this really cool place called the Lucky Strike Inn, which is now they have that concept around the country. But at that time, there was no such thing as a bar / bowling alley / discotheque. And that's what this was.
That's awesome.
That's where he took me. And that's when he told me the story of the guy telling his producer about seeing me in the pizza place and him wanting me on the show.
That's
This is
fantastic.
unbelievable.
Mm-hmm. That's how it happened.
And from there, you have just been
Everything
kind of
changed.
running around,
Yeah.
being the Black Diamond.
All over the country. I mean, it literally went from me singing at this pizza place to just traveling around the country singing, being Black Diamond. Yeah.
That's
Which
amazing.
includes time in Vegas,
Yes. I
time
went.
in Nashville.
Yep. Nashville, Vegas. Yep. I did.
Okay. Inquiring minds want to know, though, have you ever met Neil Diamond before?
So he.
Here we go.
At the beginning of my career, he called.
Really?
When I was still living in West Virginia, and the phone rang. I'm dating myself because this is another thing. This was the time of caller ID boxes.
Right.
You see the number pop up beside the landline.
Did it say Neil Diamond
It
on
said
the...
it was the number in New York City.
Got it.
So I answered the phone and they said, "Oh, it was a lady," and she said, "I'm looking for Theron Denson or the Black Diamond," and I said, "Well, they're one and the same, so you got him." And she said, "Hi, Theron. I'm Sherry Levy, and I'm the personal publicist for Neil Diamond, calling you from New York City. We have Mr. Diamond in the office. He'd like to speak with you. Can you take the call?"
And you said I'm busy, right?
I'm on the other line. Yeah. I was like,
how long did it take for you to answer? I mean, I think I would have been stunned for a little bit.
I'm now looking at the caller ID. It's all making sense to me. New York City, because I'm thinking, who's calling from New York City? And it's surreal. And so, yes, of course, I can take the call. She's, "Hold the line. He'll be with you in a moment." And now I'm freaking, waiting for him. And he came on the line, and he said, "Hello, Black Diamond." And I was like, and I fanboyed out, man. I fanboyed
amazing.
out. I turned into a fangirl. I don't know which it was, but I was gibberish, man.
Either are fair.
Yes,
and warranted.
Yes, and warranted. I was gibberish, and I finally realized he's gonna hang up on me. I gotta get it together. And I kind of tried to, compose myself and speak, normally and I said, and he said, "Wow, Black Diamond, you even sound like me when you talk." And I was like, whoa. And he asked me which records I had, if I had his records. And And I told him yes. At that time, I had only maybe about 3. I said, I have 3, but each time I make a little money, I plan to go out and buy another one until I have them all. And he said which 3. He wanted to know specifically which 3 I had, and I told him, and then we moved on to another topic. And after 6 minutes and 32 seconds, the call was over. And we talked for 6 minutes and 32 seconds, and then he said, goodbye, and wish you all the best in your career, and thank you for, taking my music carrying my legacy forward to the masses, and thank you for calling, I said, sir, and hung up. 2 days later, knock on the door, and I open the door, and it's UPS or some FedEx, and they have a box, and I'm thinking, I didn't order anything, and I can't afford buying anything from FedEx, and I take the box. Oh no, you just sign here. I sign. I go in, take the box, and open it. And Neil Diamond had instructed his publicity department to send me his entire catalog of music.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Minus
That's
those 3.
So cool.
Wow.
The 3 that I named were not in there, but everything else.
He finished the collection.
He finished the collection.
Oh,
That's
that's such a cool
Yeah.
story.
Yeah.
And what a cool thing to do. Like,
yeah.
I mean, what you do is awesome, but the difference between, a tribute show guy who's just starting
Yeah.
and a superstar of that caliber.
Stature, yes.
And he's just, here you go.
He said, you got them all now. So now you have all my music, so you can do them all.
That is okay. Before we get to more stories,
Mhm.
I gotta ask: you got a favorite? What's the best? What is, in your opinion, best Neil Diamond song?
Well, my favorite is from the Songs of Life from the Jazz Singer, but I heard Neil Diamond in an interview once. They asked him that question, and he said, "Well, my songs are like my kids, and so it's hard to pick a favorite. One
That's
day
fair.
it could
That
be this
is
one,
fair.
another day
I
it
mean,
could
it's
be
a weak sauce answer, but it's fair.
I mean,
Yeah.
usually it depends on the day, the hour, which
Right.
kid
Yeah.
you like the best.
Which kids
you
you
know?
like the best. And so if they're his kids, I figure they're like my nephews.
They are.
That's the same thing. But right now, I'm all about a song called "I've Been This Way Before," which is on Jonathan Livingston Seagull. If you've not listened to this song, really listen to this song. It's just one of the most moving and most beautiful songs. It talks about life and death, and it starts out quiet, and then in typical Neil Diamond fashion, it's big at the end, and I've sang it for people just sometimes that come to visit me. I just say, I think you need to hear this song, and I'm going to sing it for you right now.
Okay,
After
tell us
10
again what it's called.
I've Been This Way Before.
I've been this way before.
Mhm.
I have not heard this one.
Well,
Have
know,
you?
yes. Just because my family, we grew up with Neil Diamond almost all the time.
Mhm.
And I'm shocked actually that you say that Jonathan Livingston Seagull is his number 2 selling album, because I feel like that's one that is not brought up in conversation very often.
It's underrated.
And I feel like it's one of those things. Well, look, I will tell you that I think The Jazz Singer is one of the most underrated films of all
Yes.
time, let alone albums.
Yes, his acting was good. It was great in there.
The critics decided to kill his acting career
Yes,
before it
they
started.
did. But luckily, he had music to fall back on.
That is true. It's one hell of a thing to be able to fall back on.
And do you know he dropped out of NYU to where he was on a fencing scholarship to play music?
Stop.
Now,
I did not
I
know
like
that.
you turned to Songs of Life there, because I think most people, when they say, I'm going to pull a beautifully sad song from that movie, they're not going that one. They're going Love on the Rocks.
Yes.
But I like that you kind of took a little curve there.
Because it's more obscure. And again, it was the one that I think the needle must have landed on that when I first got the Jazz Singer, and that was the first one I heard. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, oh wow, this is mesmerizing. It's just so beautiful. And I've that position I've never changed that position to this day.
Now, I have one
From
song I
15.
don't like, and it's probably just because I was a kid when I heard it, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't get it, but Summer Love.
Oh, really?
I think it's just because I didn't get it, and so I didn't like it then, so I just never grew to like it.
And I don't believe, make believe, but I was a lonely boy, and you were a lonely girl. We're together tonight. Summer love made it right.
That is awesome.
That is
Okay,
unbelievable.
now I love it.
That's a great song. I love that song. The one that I might have, if I had to say one that I would pass on, it was the Robert E. Lee.
Well, look, I'm gonna say that one. And I recently in the last few years played the album for my son. That song doesn't age well.
Yeah, no. No.
In today's world and context.
Yes.
Like, I had to think about it for a minute, but you're right. It definitely does not age well.
It doesn't. If you remade the movie, and if somebody remade it without Neil, I would be angry.
Yes.
Unless, of course, it was starring the Black Diamond.
Black Diamond, okay.
That would be different.
Like, I would support that.
Yeah.
I would give my dollars to see that movie. But if you remade it, you can't redo that song, right?
Yeah, I don't think they wouldn't put it in now, today.
But Acapulco?
Yes, that's a good one too. Acapulco is a good one. So that one had America, Love on the Rocks, Songs of Life, Robert E. Lee, Summer Love, Acapulco.
See, you did them out of order, and it's really thrown my brain now.
Yeah, I know.
I love it that you all know the order. That's amazing.
We know all things Neil Diamond. We are the Diamonds.
Okay, so Liesl, do you have a favorite Neil song?
Is it so generic to say Sweet Caroline?
No,
I
it's
just
fine.
love that song.
I mean, you're basic, but that's fine.
I'm totally basic.
I'm
no,
just teasing.
I'm basic. I'm the person that when it comes on in the bar, I probably don't get all the words right either. So there you go.
That's fine.
But you get the dun 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 right.
Dun dun dun.
Yes.
See,
yes.
I don't know why. Maybe it's just because, as a lifelong
Now we're gonna
Kansas
start
City-
singing.
Kansas City
Done.
fan, I don't like Boston, but I don't like the Red Sox. So I just feel like Red Sox, have tainted the song.
Yeah. They really. I mean, they've done a number on it for sure. They love that. Another good song is from. It's from the Heartlight album called Ensenada, and he talks about going to Mexico, and it's a love song. I think he's at the top of his game on a ballad. I mean, any ballad he does, and
One of the best poets.
yes, that's the word, poet.
Now, Brother Loves Traveling Show.
Yes.
That's my number one. I think.
That's
just the way it starts, and you talked earlier, the way he can start and then just build.
Well, and when you hear the song, it's like you're at an old tent revival.
Oh, absolutely.
Down south, and the preachers are up there sweating in the tent, and the people are fanning
I
themselves.
mean, you can picture
You really can.
the scenes as it plays.
The leaves hanging down and the grass on the ground smelling sweet. I mean, he really paints a great picture of those tent revivals, that they would have in the summertime when it was scorching hot and down south.
He really is a poet too.
Oh yeah, well,
he really is.
And I think we talked about this earlier before we started recording, but I think a lot of people forget that he's one of the most prolific songwriters,
Absolutely,
in American history, not just for himself.
How many songs has he written?
Oh Lord,
probably 978
Gazillion.
Wow.
Gazillion. But for other people too, like the a lot of people don't realize the Monkees' "I'm a Believer" is a Neil Diamond penned song. He wrote
Red Wine.
Red Wine, UB40 is a Neil Diamond penned song. In Pulp Fiction, Quentin Tarantino, where they were doing the John Travolta and Uma Thurman are dancing, and the band is called Urge Overkill, singing "Girl, You'll Be a Woman Soon." That's Neil Diamond's wrote that song, and it goes on and on. I mean,
just a ton.
Elvis recorded "Sweet Caroline" before Neil was.
That's right.
Big. He did "Sweet Caroline."
So what happens after you go on Kimmel?
So after I go on,
I mean, just does your world take off? Is it a blur at that point?
Yes, it really did, and it was. And I remember Kimmel telling me when we were bowling, he goes, tomorrow everything changes, and I didn't quite know what it meant. I figured out pretty quickly what it meant when I started getting calls, and they were coming from around just the world, like London and I got a booking request in South Africa, Johannesburg, South Africa, and
Did you take that one?
I did not take that one, but I did get that. I was flattered that they wanted me. Italy, Spain, they put me on I think it's a podcast, and but it's in Spain, and so I'm on the phone with this podcast and talking to the people in Spain, and so it went worldwide really after Kimmel.
Well, and I remember so when I met you, and we're just hanging out at a local brewery, our friends over at Diametric, shout out to them.
Yes.
And he just goes, yeah, when I used to live with the Pointer Sisters. And I mean, what do you...
Don't you have things to drop like that in conversation?
What do you do when someone you just met drops that in the middle of a conversation?
You say, tell me more about that.
And he
Love to
did.
know.
And you know what's interesting about that is when I do that, it does sound like name dropping, but it's really not. It's really just my story. You know, I'm really just kind of telling my story, and I forget the effect that the listener has when I wait a minute, hold on. You just casually said you lived with June Pointer. What? I'm like, oh, that's when I realize and remember, like, oh, this is not a normal thing to say in a conversation.
How long did you live with her?
I lived with all of them at different points in time because I was always a gypsy or homeless, and they were great for taking you into Pointers. If you're ever homeless, man, they are as big as they are in pop music. And may I say, rest in peace to Anita Pointer, who passed away on New Year's Eve. But I stayed at her house too in Beverly Hills, and and she was a lovely person, and the world of music will miss her, and the world will miss Anita. And they would, if you're homeless, they take you in.
Wow, that's
It's
that's
into
a
a
really
mansion,
cool story.
but they take you in. and I would just call sometime and just say, well, I'd always say, can I come visit for the weekend? And a year later, I'm still there.
That's a really good
I need to-
ploy. We
I need
gotta
to try
employ
that.
that tactic.
It works. I called June Pointer. That's exactly how it happened. I called her and I said, I'd like to come visit sometime. She said, oh, well, yeah. Oh, I'd love to see you. When you want to come visit? I said, well, today. She said, well, where are you? I said, the Greyhound bus station in Hollywood.
I've already invited myself over, so
So
I'll be there in 20.
yeah, I'll be there to see you in 20. And so I came over and had no place to live. So this is back in 97. And I moved in, and at that time, their mother was living with June. They had moved her from.
So this is before everything happened.
Yeah, before I was Black Diamond. And so she comes. I didn't even sing. And when they first, later they would take me out to open for them on the road, and that was their first.
oh my
buried the lead.
gosh,
All right, stick a pin in that.
I know,
Yeah.
right?
And they had never heard me sing. This was when I opened for them. This was kind of like their first time, and so they were like. People were always asking me, they're like, wait, you didn't sing for the Pointer Sisters? I was like, no. Wait, you lived with them and you didn't sing for them? I said, no. And they said, why didn't you sing for them? I was like, because they're the Pointer Sisters.
That's actually fair.
Nobody
I understand where you're
sings,
coming
yeah.
from on that.
Nobody sings for the Pointer
That's
Sisters.
fair, and that makes sense.
Mhm.
Okay, so how did you connect with them then?
Well, that goes back even further in the 80s. I was friends with Ruth Pointer's son, Malik, at Pepperdine University.
You have such a life.
It's crazy. And
I'm
we just became
loving
friends,
this.
and I didn't know who he was. And so I would call back to Missouri, and I gravitated towards him because he was black, and there wasn't very many black people at Pepperdine at that time that I recall. And so I one day I'd call back to Missouri, and they would always ask me, "Have you met anybody famous?" And I said, no, I haven't. They said, well, you're in L.A. So when I hung up the phone, I was talking to this blonde surfer dude, I remember. And I asked him, I said, every time I call home to Missouri, they always ask me if I've met anybody famous. And I haven't met anybody. And how come? I'm living in Malibu. He thinks I know who Malik is. And he goes, next time you call Missouri, just tell them you're best friends with a famous person's son. And I said, who is that? And he says, well, Malik. And at that moment, Malik Pointer, which I always knew his last name, but I never
Never clicked.
Yeah.
and I said Malik Pointer, and they were huge then. They were the height of their career at that time. And I go, who's Malik's related to? And he goes, his mom is one of the Pointer Sisters,
Oh, wow.
and the other two are his aunts. They're really sister. I was like, so next time I ran into Malik, I said, dude, how come you never told me who your mother was? And he goes, oh yeah, by the way, man, my mom's a rock star. That was it.
That's awesome.
That's how it happened. And
So
then,
you never got an invite for Solid Gold or any of the great shows.
no, but they did take me to some places. They took me to a party one time and Prince was there and David Bowie was there and I had to, I was like, again, about to fanboy, and Malik's mom, who Ruth Pointer is one of the Pointers, she just looked at him like, get your friend under control. Get your friend under control. And Malik's like, dude, no. calm down, calm down. Calm down. You came with a rock star, so just calm down. There's other rock stars here. Calm down. You're used to it now because you're with my mom. And I had to try to control myself, but there's David Bowie right there, 10 feet away from me. It was, and Prince, it was crazy. And so they took me to some places, but when I moved into June's house, shortly after they were leaving to go out on a tour, and her mom was living there, and she asked me, she said, I know you were just going to be here for a couple of days. She knew really I was homeless, but she didn't put it to me like that. She said, I know you're just going to be here for a couple of days, but she said, but we got to go out on the road, and could you and Mother they called their mother, everyone calls her Mother, she's gone now, but said, you and Mother get along so good, because I had lived with her when I was homeless in San Francisco. Same thing. Can I come visit for a while? And stayed there for a year. And she in Marin County, and she said, you and her get along so well, and it would be, if you could help, stay here and just help while we're on the road and make sure she's eating properly. She was diabetic, and then getting her shit in needle pricks. And I said, sure. She said, when I get back, I'll buy you a ticket wherever to home, which there was none. And so that's what I did. And then when she got home, and she called me down to her room, and she said, so, I can get my travel agent to take care of your travel. Where you want to go? And I said, well, I guess I thought back to West Virginia, and she said, or if you'd like to stick around, Mother enjoyed having you here, and you took such good care of her, and you could work for me as my personal assistant, put you on the payroll. You live here.
That's awesome.
And that's how it happened. I lived with her for a year. It got a check. It was great.
That is just crazy. And look, I'm looking at the clock here, and I know that I'm not going to do a 3-hour episode.
Yeah.
For I won't hurt the people that way, but
Yeah.
Nick, you hurt the people every
That's
time you
true.
come on.
Every
You know,
time I
I
open my
mean,
mouth.
come on
I
now,
don't
let's
believe
be
it.
real.
And
I
look,
don't believe it.
you have a million stories
Yeah.
you could tell, but I want to get to now. What's going on now? You've got a show coming up on the 21st, the Pink Elephant in downtown Lee's Summit.
Yes.
What else is going on now? I mean, I know you, like everybody, you took a few years off because COVID ruins everything.
Yes, yeah.
What's going on now?
Well, so we're working on some new merchandise. I can tell you that we're working on another book. There's a book that was written about me 10 years ago, and now they're going to reissue it because in that first edition we couldn't get anything from Neil Diamond or even anything associated with Neil Diamond, and so for some reason the author just was unable to. I didn't write the book; someone wrote the book about me. And Scott Nolan, who wrote the only authorized biography of Jethro Tull.
Wow.
Yes. But he this time, Neil, the percussion player for Neil Diamond, a guy named Harrison Johnson, we call him King Harrison, the king of the congas, he wrote the afterword for the book. So when they want to reissue it because it's a lengthy where he talks about me and his relationship with me, and how we worked together before in Vegas, and how he wants to he might come to Kansas City for the 21st show. He wants to.
That's
So when's that re-release happening?
It'll happen this year.
Okay.
Because it's the 10-year anniversary. The first time it came out in 2013, and he said, I want to do this so that there's something Neil Diamond connected to the book.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Is there like a picture of you with all of the albums that Neil sent you?
There is a picture with me. Yes, they're all spread out. And I was in Nashville, and they did a story on me in this magazine called the East Nashvillian, and they sent the photographer to do a photo shoot with me at my house, and they spread all the records out all around me and had me hold one. A double album that opens like the book. So I'm opening one, and then the rest are sprawled around me on the floor, and I'm in a sequin shirt sitting on the floor.
That's so cool. I'm gonna ask for one more story. I feel like this is the weirdest episode we've ever done where I'm just asking for stories. Like, tell me stories, Theron. Because I heard part of this when we were in the car after that we were hanging out for the other show's episode.
Mm-hmm.
You got to go on stage with some of the musicians.
Yes. Well, the Pointer Sisters called me up during their finale, and the Village People, and
You might have heard of them, the Village People.
Yeah,
maybe.
just a little bit. We heard of them a little bit.
Maybe.
Yes. Boys to Men. Oh, Sugar Hill Gang.
Boys to Men.
Mhm.
Sugar Hill Gang. Good
Yes,
Lord.
yes. They were great because they invited me to eat spaghetti with them.
That's when you know it's been a good show.
Yeah. They're like, Black Diamond, would you like some spaghetti?
More proof the world revolves around food.
It really does.
It really
Music
does.
and food.
It really does. And they asked me to sing a song for them, I remember. And I did Heartlight because he said that was his favorite, and which surprised me, but I did it. And I remember he told me, he said, wow, you have perfect pitch. And here's my phone number. They gave me their cell phone numbers. Like, anywhere you see the Sugar Hill Gang, we got your tickets. Call us.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But who were you thinking that
I was just remember you told me that you were on stage with some of the Neil Diamond's musicians, that they invited
Oh,
you
yes.
to join them on stage.
Duh. Yeah. So, no, they actually came on stage at my show because basically what happened was I was.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's the other way around.
I know.
On my show.
And I mean, he's like, there's so many highlight reel stories. Like, it's hard
Yes.
to, catalog through that Rolodex there,
They got word that I was going to be performing in Vegas, and they came to Vegas, and not the whole band, but basically some of his band came, including King Harrison, and including Ronnie Tutt, who just passed away a year ago in October. But Ronnie Tutt, who was Neil Diamond's drummer for a long time, you'll be interested to know, was the touring drummer for many, many years for Elvis Presley.
Wow.
Who knew?
Ronnie Tutt.
Wow.
And he came, and I got to work with him, and he told me, he said, I've been wanting to see you for a long time. He said, I've been seeing videos. And he said, one time we were in a rehearsal with Mr. Diamond in Los Angeles before a world tour, and for whatever reason, during the rehearsal, he just stopped, and he put up a YouTube video of you on the Jumbotron. And he said, do you think I sound like the black guy?
That's awesome.
That's Ronnie Tutt telling me the story. And I'm like, wow.
That is incredible.
Yeah, yeah. So it was a thrill and an honor to get to work with them. It wasn't really my show. It was our show, I should say. But it was an honor to get to work with them. I mean, that was a career highlight for sure. And that we've maintained contact with each other over the years, and that King Harrison wants to fly into Lee Summit to Kansas City to come to the Pink Elephant on January 21st.
What a life you
All
are living.
comes back to January 21st.
That's the Pink Elephant.
The Pink Elephant.
What a life. You are really living a fun life.
I might not be a millionaire, but I always say I feel like the richest man in the world just from the experiences that I had. A lot of them were just flying by the seat of my pants. As I look back, I didn't know what I was doing. I just knew I had to do something. If you can't fly, run. If you can't run, walk. If you can't walk, crawl. But by all means, keep moving. And that was from Martin Luther King, and that's a mantra I've tried to live by.
I would say you've done that. I mean, just from earlier when we were talking, like just the courage to say, I'm not going to stop singing. I'm walking out of the job.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to cold call, and I'm also going to walk into just random places and start singing.
Yes.
I mean, that's amazing.
Excuse me. Yes, the Pointer Sisters. Do you mind if I just crash your house for the weekend?
No.
What I mean is the year.
Yeah.
The year.
Yeah, that's what I did.
Year and a
too.
half.
That's year and a half.
Where am I? I'm around the block.
At the Greyhound. Yeah, I literally did that, and twice, because I did it with their mother in San Francisco, and then I did it but I lived at Ruth's house in Malibu, and I lived stayed at Anita's house in Beverly Hills sometimes. So it was wherever I was homeless, and whichever one of them was closest by. That's where I would try to go
amazing.
sleep and live for a while.
That is awesome.
Do we know anyone famous to
I'm not sure it's the
try
same thing if I
this?
call Nigel.
Yeah.
We
Nigel's
could
famous.
call Nigel.
Nigel is famous.
He's beer famous.
Yes, he's very famous. Very good guy. As are you, and as are you, Liesl. Good girl. Great girl.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
She's a good human.
She's good human.
I try.
You're both good humans.
All right, but if people want to follow you, they want to go catch up on who is the Black Diamond. They want to follow where you're playing.
Yes.
You've got a website?
Yes. Well, the website's in the works too. That's also coming back after COVID. But the Facebook Black Neil Diamond Tribute, Instagram Black Neil Diamond Tribute, Snapchat, I think also Black Neil Diamond, Twitter Black Neil Diamond. Black Neil Diamond.
That is awesome.
Follow his fascinating life.
It's been a crazy one. That's
Yes,
for
it
sure.
has.
What a great life. Now,
Yes.
usually I wrap up a show, I I tell everybody thanks for listening. We'll talk to them next time. And I hit a little button for some music.
Mm-hmm.
But if possible, instead of me hitting the button, can you do Songs of Life?
Oh, absolutely. A cappella.
Do you mind?
Or do you have music? Or you want?
I do not have the music.
Okay, we can do it a cappella. Let me. I'm gonna drink some of this water.
We do this all the time too. Nick and I
Look, this was just a thing. I was like,
Yes.
if we can.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So this was the first song that I ever learned by the icon, the legend, who is Neil Diamond. Songs of life, they ring from quiet steeples to distant valleys, along the hillsides of lovers' hearts, Come sing your songs of life, and they will keep you from ever wanting, from ever needing, forevermore.
Theron Denson, the Black Neil Diamond.
Thank you.
That'll wrap us up for this week. We'll talk to everybody next time.